Tig Tanti-Wingumpai. Network Creative Director is Marky Lindemolder. Network Director is Kevin Shockey. The Senior Vice President of the Altitude Sports Radio Network is Dave Fleck. This broadcast has been a presentation of the National Hockey League and the Altitude Sports Radio Network. This is Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Post-game coverage of Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup playoff hockey continues now. It's a special edition of Between the Pipes with
Game 5 goes to the Dallas Stars, and the series shifts to the Mile High City where the Avalanche have their backs against the wall. But the tougher the setback, the greater the comeback. And the Avalanche now have to win 2 straight to beat the Dallas Stars. Final score in Game 5. Dallas 6 and the Avalanche 2.
Well, that sucked. Our watch party was fun, though, Spring, out at Stoney's on Lincoln, 1111 Lincoln, out there courtesy of our friends at Milagro Tequila, the brighter side of tequila. We gave away a signed Cale Makar stick, signed Cale Makar photo, an LOC photo, and then 9 seconds into a hockey game, well, a bounce goes the Stars' way. And the Avs kind of hold on in that first period. It's okay, and then under a minute to go, another bounce, granted a turnover in the middle of the defensive zone. Blackwood makes a save. It bounces up and over and off his back and in, and it felt like it was just doomed from the start, but by no stretch of the imagination, as we welcome you into Between the Pipes here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 live on Twitch, on YouTube at Altitude Sports Radio, and on Twitter. Just search at Altitude SR, Alex Ryanemi alongside Mark Springer. By no stretch of the imagination am I going to say, well, a couple of bounces and they would have been just fine or right in that. Yes, bad timed. It was not great to open up a pivotal game 9 seconds in with a puck that no one knew where it was, and then a shot from the goal line goes in. They didn't lose this game because of bounces.
Yeah, I would say overall the Avs got outplayed tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It reminded me of the back half of Game 2 where, second game for Dallas at home, and they lost Game 1, and the Avs were maybe the better team in the first half of that game, but then Dallas picked up their physicality, they tightened up, and they ultimately won that thing in overtime, got a game-tying goal, won it in overtime, and they felt a desperation factor having lost Game 1, and I think we saw a desperation factor from the Avs in the previous game, in Game 4 at home. And then we saw that table turned right again here tonight, and Dallas had that desperation factor. So you kind of look at the desperation factor of this series, and Colorado didn't have it in Game 3. Like, that was their turn maybe, coming off of a Game 2 loss in Dallas, and Colorado played like poo. And they play, they're on the road as opposed to home. It was similar to Game 3. Tonight was similar to Game 3 as far as the effort goes. It's just they got out physicaled. They got outplayed. And yes, there were some lucky bounces. But this Dallas, the fact that they played like that and that they're capable of playing like this without Robertson and Heiskanen.
They're just a damn good hockey team.
They're
just a good hockey team.
They are a good hockey team. So, but hey, we'll see if maybe the desperation factor thing now it holds true, and Colorado can easily bounce back in Game 6 here on Thursday night. We saw them bring the effort in Game 4. They're going to need to bring it again in Game 6.
You can join us tonight, 303-504-0925 on the Shop Mazda text line. You can use that number to call us as well, since we're live on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Taylor, I see you on hold. We'll keep you there for just a couple of seconds. We'll get to you. Don't worry about it. This team, historically, I have seen them bounce back from adversity and being outplayed from game to game under Jared Bednar. I don't see it very often when adversity hits them in the middle of a game and a game gets away from them in the playoffs that they wrestle it back. That's one thing that I don't know if this roster has in it under Bednar's guidance. I do believe they make good adjustments from game to game, that they do regroup and find a way to be better the next time out. But it feels as though when that snowball starts rolling down a hill, there's no way to stop it. There isn't someone that's going to catch up to it. It's just going to get bigger and bigger. And while they did get to within one goal, they shot themselves in the foot. They had the momentum there, and you had to find a way to get into that locker room down one goal. And you were close right there. Had to, off the top of my head, as I bring the box score up, it had to be, 3.5 minutes to go in that second period? McKinnon scores at the with 5 minutes and 22 seconds to go. 5 minutes and 22 seconds to go in that second to make it 3-2. In Dallas, you got to think there's a little bit of a pucker factor there.
This is a ball game. This is a hockey game.
And as I do believe, and I will continue to say this, I do believe that Jared Bednar is a top 5 coach in the league. I think he is excellent. He has a Stanley Cup ring to prove it. DeBoer is able to stop the bleeding. DeBoer is able to find a way to get his teams to make something out of nothing. And I don't know if against DeBoer, Bednar has that. Because with 3 minutes and 12 seconds to go, yes, on the power play, it was avoidable. Was it a soft call? Probably, but we've seen weird officiating all postseason long, not just this series. 3 minutes and 12 seconds to go in that period. Wyatt Johnston scores in the power play. You're back to a 2-goal deficit. Not dead by any stretch of the imagination. But the snowball continues to get larger and faster and more dangerous. You fail to get a puck not only out of the zone, but once it does get out of the zone, it doesn't get deep. It only gets into the neutral zone. Dallas turns right back around. They throw a puck at net, and Mason Marchment's right there to tip it home, and the game is effectively over with 1 minute and 28 seconds to go.
And then we saw the Avs do what the Stars did in Game 4, and that's pull Mackenzie Blackwood.
Wave the flag.
And, I didn't love Dallas doing that, but hey, I was wrong.
Help Ottinger today.
I'm happy to say when I was wrong, it was the right move. And so maybe conversely, it's the right move to pull Blackwood, and it'll keep him fresher for Game 6 on Thursday night. Yeah, they cut it to 1, and they pick it up there. The Lehkonen goal from the Natchez shot in the slot, and McKinnon kind of skating around, getting that second goal. And it's an elbow from Sam Malinsky to Sam Steele. And, it's just, Sam is just trying to lay a check on Sam Steele.
It's a little floppy.
And the way that the bodies collide and the elbow's not extended. The elbow to me is tight to the body.
It wasn't Aaron Ekblad today against Brandon Hagen.
No, it wasn't the Marchment elbow to Cale Makar. And that puts Dallas on a power play, up 3-2. Avs had made a charge. And this is where he finally truly showed up. Now, he had already scored his first goal of the series, took him to Game 5, a guy who was lobbying for, it seems like $14 million a year, ended up getting himself 12. And Mikko scored his first goal of this series. And, he had
a good game. He played well.
He finishes the rush. He finishes the odd man rush, receives the cross-ice pass. Blackwood's beat. Mikko finishes. Good goal. A lot of quality NHL players should make that play. But on the Wyatt Johnston power play goal, Mikko Rantanen has the puck, high right side. And he throws a no-look pass down low to Matt Duchene. That no-look pass froze the Avs penalty kill, and that is what allowed Duchene to then go cross-ice to a wide-open Wyatt Johnston. So that was the best play. Not the goal, that pass, that secondary assist, the no-look pass was the best play that Mikko Rantanen has had since he left the Colorado Avalanche. He got his tonight. It was a very nice play, and that's what finished the game. Look, I'll say it. I don't like the call on Malinsky. I don't like the elbow. That being said, I mean, overall, the Avs got out physical tonight. They did.
They got outplayed, and what my big thing about this series has been is puck management. And the puck management in Game 3 was atrocious. The puck management in Game 4 was flawless. Tonight, it was just as bad as Game 3. I don't think they managed pucks well. It was another game of sticks blowing up for Avs defensemen when they go low to high. It was another game of failed clearances. And not only is it getting the puck out of the zone, you have to find a way to clear that zone and then chip a puck back around Dallas defensemen to make them turn. If you don't make Dallas turn, they're going to eat you alive. If you do make them turn and go make them play pucks in their own corner, that's when Colorado is effective. When they play below the goal line and force Dallas to come to you. If they have things in front of them, if they have bodies and pucks in front of them, Dallas is going to win hockey games. And the only way to beat Dallas is to manage pucks up and down the ice. You have to manage pucks everywhere. You have to manage pucks on your defensive half wall, on your defensive blue line. You have to gain red or neutral. As I fall over myself right now, you must gain the neutral zone center ice line, and you must get pucks into the offensive corners and force those defensemen to turn. They didn't do that nearly enough today. And unfortunately, now we look at the Avs situational records. When they trail 3-2, starting on the road in a playoff series, they are 0-7 in 7-game series. When they start at home, they are 2-8. Now, one of those, when they started at home, was the 2001 Stanley Cup Final. So there is some success there. They have never won a series when starting that series on the road, being down 3-2 and coming back home. They've forced Game 7 multiple times. Mm-hmm. They have not closed out that series. And Jared Bednar is now 0-3 against Peter DeBoer. I love that coach. I think he is sensational. He's coaching. I firmly believe he is coaching for his Avalanche life the next 2 games.
I mean, what adjustment would you have liked to see him make?
No, I don't know if there's an X's and O's adjustment tonight. I don't know if there was. I simply believe that they did not manage pucks well enough to win the hockey game. And it was compounded with 2 horrible bounces at 2 horrible times. Puck luck is very, very real. Do not let anyone tell you that it's not. Puck luck is real. So compounded with bad puck management and bad puck luck, as well as bad officiating. Don't get me started on the Jamie Benn flop. That is atrocious. An affront to the league for a guy that prides himself as an old school nails hockey player, a captain. Jamie Benn, the biggest chicken you-know-what move that I've seen in the playoffs so far. And you know what? If puck luck's real, so is karma. Something's going to come back the Avs' way in Game 6, whether it's on Jamie Benn himself or if it's just a piece of luck that goes the Avs' way. Maybe the Avs need to throw their heads back a little bit. Maybe you need to, when you feel sticks around your ankles, when you feel sticks around your shoulders, maybe you need to be a little theatrical. Because that is the Stars and Peter DeBoer's MO. I'm not saying the only way that they win hockey games is by being theatrical and flopping and embellishing, but it certainly helps. All 3 of those things were part of the reason why the Avs lost tonight's hockey game. Now, the adjustments, from an X's and O's standpoint, I don't know what Bednar could have done. I do feel, though, in game, when things don't go their way, I don't find them turning things around consistently in game. Now, game to game, night to night, I do. But in game, I struggle to see the consistent, all right, down 2-0, down 3-0, we can make this thing happen.
Okay, a couple things. You mentioned with the Avs are 0-7 when they're down 3-2 and, forcing Game 7, winning that series. Pete DeBoer is 8-0 in his career in Game 7s. So, on both of those fronts, a lot of streaks they come to an end eventually. In fact, yes. Pete DeBoer is a very good coach.
Great coach.
He is. I really do think...
Great coach without a ring.
I do think Jared Bednar is a better coach, and he does have a ring. I'm looking at the all-time Game 7 leaders for head coaches, and DeBoer is tied with Daryl Sutter as far as wins. Both have 8. Sutter has 3 losses, though.
Sutter's got 2 Stanley Cups.
Is Pete DeBoer really going to go to 9-0? I mean, you got to win Game 6 in order to break that streak, though, and for the Avs to break their streak of not overcoming 3-2 deficits. As far as adjustments go, I will say this. One thing I did like, and it didn't really matter tonight, but I liked the aesthetic of it, was putting Valeri Nichushkin back on power play 1 and taking Arturi Lehkonen off. It was a very big unit. Like you have Nichushkin.
Didn't do much. It
didn't, but I think that this can pay off, and I think it's the right move. Having Nichushkin and Landeskog out there allowed Gabe to float out to the right wing like I was hoping we would see, because I didn't think Jonathan Drouin was dangerous. And obviously, look, Gabe is great net front. He's very good. He's so savvy. He's physical, but so is Valeri Nichushkin. But I don't love Nichushkin on the right wing. I didn't love Drouin on the right wing, and I don't really love Arturi Lehkonen on the right wing. I just didn't trust them to put pucks on net when they came onto their stick quickly. I do trust Gabe Landeskog. So the ability to have both...
He ripped a post on the one-timer.
So the ability to have Landeskog and Nichushkin, putting them on power play 1, that could be something to keep an eye on in Game 6. For a power play that has largely struggled in this series, but this was the first time that we've seen that combination. It was one game. I hope that they stick with it, and I'm interested to see if that can pay off in Game 6. Another potential adjustment, from a lineup perspective, is and Gabe didn't have a great game overall tonight. Granted, most of the Avs didn't. I thought McKinnon did have a good game. He threw 7 shots on goal. He did get a goal. Natchez had 2 assists, but outside of that little flurry in the middle where Natchez got his 2 points, he was a little ghosty. I wouldn't mind, and like I said, I know Landeskog didn't have the best game. It was only his 3rd game back in 3 years. He played 18 minutes and 17 seconds tonight. That's a pretty healthy clip for, a guy who we were managing minutes for just a few days ago. I wouldn't mind seeing Landeskog back on the top line.
You put him up top. You have the extra day. That is a good adjustment. I would take that.
I feel like the top line has just been inconsistent since Mikko Rantanen left. It's been good in spurts. But let's just, when the Avs were at their best, when they won the Cup, they loaded up the top line. It was McKinnon, Landeskog, Rantanen. And anytime that they would split Rantanen away from that group, it never really worked. Well, they should do the same thing here. They should load up and go with their 3 best forwards on the top line. McKinnon, Nichushkin, Landeskog. That's what they should do. Now, the adjustment that really needed to be made in this game, it was similar to Game 3, except this was on Dallas's ice. And that's why Game 3 was so frustrating, because in both of those 2 games, Dallas played that real stingy, tight defense. Make the zone entries tough, make the passing lanes tight so that you can't have those pretty zone entries. You really have to go forecheck your ass off. And they didn't do it in Game 3. They didn't do it tonight. You just got to go put your head down and go try to win those battles in the corners and on the end boards.
We got to take a quick timeout. If you are waiting on hold, wait through the break. We'll get to your calls next. Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. You're listening to Between the Pipes with Alex Ryanemi and Mark Springer. Again, if you guys are used to listening to Between the Pipes on our digital formats, typically we do an hour show without any breaks, but now that we're on 92.5 for the remainder of the playoffs, we'll be back in about 3.5 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Again, 303-504-0925 is where you can reach us. If you're on hold, stay there. Your call's next.
I know this kind of yo-yos back and forth in a series, but this morning Pete sort of called out, challenged some of his big guys. Obviously, they all had a big game.
Yeah.
Is there a similar message coming before Game 6?
Oh, we'll see. That's between me and them.
Jared Bednar shortly after his team falls in a pivotal Game 5 to the Dallas Stars. The Avs now face elimination for the second year in a row at home against those Dallas Stars. That game Thursday evening at Ball Arena. Between the pipes, Alex Ryanemi alongside Mark Springer here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Thanks to our friends out at Stoney's Lincoln for a great viewing party as we were there with Milagro Tequila, giving away signed Avs merch as well as a signed Cale Makar hockey stick. It was a fun time, not so much a fun hockey game, but a fun time. Let's head out to the phone lines, 303-504-0925 is where you can reach us. Taylor, welcome back to the program.
Taylor.
Hey guys, you there?
Yeah, we are.
got
What's up,
you.
man?
Yeah. Hey, good to talk to you again, Raj. Man, I'd love to believe in hockey karma and puck luck, but after that bubble series against Radulov and Ben and Perry, where we lost on a Kiviranta hat trick, I don't believe in hockey karma anymore. So, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you, man. Jared Bednar is a great coach, and I've supported him for a long time. But the reality of the situation is, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but he's facing 0-4 against DeBoer in the face. And Spring, I don't know how you can argue with that record and say that he's a better coach. And we're looking at 9 years, as a head coach and not getting past the second round. Obviously, he has a ring, but the other 8 years, when you have two of the best players in the world, two of the four best players in the world, the reality is Makar's not going anywhere. McKinnon's not going anywhere. So what changes can you make? And, I think I agree with you, Raj. I think he's coaching for his job in Game 6. And, it's disappointing that Makar hasn't shown up, and it's frustrating that Bednar can't get the most out of a Brock Nelson or can't get the most out of a Charlie Coyle or some of these additions, even Natchez in the playoffs. I mean, they're all ghosts out there. There's 4 guys that have shown up in this series, and they're wearing 29, 92, 25, and 39, and 39 didn't even show up tonight. So, I don't know what else to say. Dallas has our number, and, it's not over yet, but it kind of feels like it, and that's frustrating. But we'll see what happens. They need to start playing some of the games that the Stars play, and the Jamie Benn type games, and maybe a better guy to acquire from the Bruins would have been a Brad Marchand who could play those games, because the Avs don't seem willing to get dirty, get their noses dirty, and do the things that it takes to win a series like this, especially when they're facing adversity. When they won the Cup, they never really faced adversity. And every year that they face adversity, they seem to crumble. But hopefully that doesn't happen in the next 2 games, but I don't have my hopes up. Thanks, guys.
Taylor, appreciate the call as always, man. Great to hear your voice.
I just always find it funny how, and I get it, this is big time, big boy pro sports. And whenever there is a failure, and let me just say, keep in mind, the series is not over.
No, sir, it's certainly not. And I've said this, you're watching the Western Conference Final right now. And a Western Conference Final, I think, goes 6 or 7 games. This is going 6 or 7 games. And eventually, if it's going 7 games, a team is going to be up 3-2.
Sure.
Now, every time in this series, when it feels as though one team has wrestled every piece of momentum away from their opposition, what's happened the next game? Pendulum swings.
By and large, except for Game 2 to Game 3. And maybe that's the difference in the series, which is kind of scaring me.
2 games that you should have won in overtime.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
Yes, there's that too. And also, and we'll see how this goes. And I want to get back to the Bednar thing, but if the Avs lose this series and, Gabe plays 18 minutes tonight and he scored and had a net front presence in Game 4. So that tells me, and we said it all along. We said it before the series. We were like, play him in Game 1. Now, I don't know why he didn't. Because they win game one fairly easily. Gabe could have just blended in that game, and that would have been the game where he plays 10 to 14 minutes like he did in game 3, which ultimately was his debut. But maybe that could have been game 1. Avs, it appears, would have just won that thing handily. Maybe they win game 2. Maybe they pull off that overtime win in game 2 if Gabe was back. Maybe, if Gabe is playing more in game 3 than just kind of getting eased in ever so slightly, maybe they win that one.
I mean, you guys heard how incensed I was after game 3. I was very, very upset. They made the adjustment to game 4, and it made every piece of difference. Now, again, I still believe that tonight's game came down to puck management was very bad. The power play continues to be not only a thorn in your side, but it's a hindrance right now. It does nothing. And if the power play continues to do nothing, you're not winning the series.
But okay, now back to Bednar, and like I was getting at saying before I went on a little roundabout route. I get that if there is consistent failure, and for a team like Colorado, a first-round exit this year, which was preceded, if that's what happens, preceded by a second-round exit last year. Keep in mind, I think the Nichushkin thing changed that series, and that's out of Bednar's control. And then I also think it affected the Seattle series the year before. You can go back to when DeBoer coached the Knights, and that was, the Avs go out in the second round that year, is the year before they won the Cup, but that was, they were learning, they were finding their way, and then they go win a Cup. And like I said, the last 2 seasons, I truly believe that the Nichushkin exits greatly affected.
You don't have those excuses right now.
I know, but here, and like you said, this is Dallas was the favorite to win the West until the Robertson injury and Heiskanen's status being uncertain. The Avs actually kind of snuck into being the favorite on a lot of books. But look, this is a Western Conference final here, and it's 3-2 series, like you said. Okay, I like to look at the players more than I do the coaches. And I'll give you one. And are we going to hold this guy's feet to the fire? Overall, I'm not going to, but he's not playing great overall this series. And that's Cale Makar.
He's been for Cale Makar, objectively bad.
What do you want Jared Bednar to do about that?
Well, you sit Cale Makar, and if you sit Cale Makar, you lose the series.
What's Jared? And I'm sure they coach Cale.
He's fighting the puck, man.
They give him advice, and Cale's a bright young kid. He's a bright young adult now, and he watches film. He sees what's out there. What do you want Jared Bednar to do? It's Cale's struggling right now overall in this series, and there's several players like that. Hell, I think overall Taves has been just okay. Sam Girard hasn't done much, but we know
he's good in game 4. He's very good in game 4.
This defensive core, and it's just the way it was constructed. Now, I'm not going to blame Chris McFarland on this, but outside of Lindgren and Manson, they are not the most physical, and even Lindgren and Manson have their limitations. So I just hesitate to just put this on Bednar, and at a certain point, the guys have to execute out there. And there's just been a lack of that. And, the game plans are sound. It was executed well in game 4. It was executed well for the most part in games 1 and 2. They just didn't execute in games 3 and 5 here tonight.
Let's keep it going on the phone lines. Is it McLaughlin? I don't have a first name. You're live on 92.5. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello, who's this?
It's Prophet.
Oh, Prophet, what's up, man? What you got?
Hey, long time up. Yeah, man, what a disappointing, aggravating game.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's only certain things the FCC allow, but I tell you, they cut it to 3-2. They get their hopes up, and there's 2 things. You're talking about the power play. need to stop taking these stupid, untimely penalties. Maybe it was a ticky-tack call, but they're not all ticky-tack. But for the love of God, obviously I would love to have Bednar's salary, and I'm not trying to take his place, although I'd take the money if that makes any sense. But somehow, some way, they and people that I've talked to have made this observation as well. I think they're overpassing way too much on the power play.
Certainly.
Use your shots as passes and rebound. How often do you see rebounds, or like, they're not passes technically, but rebounds, come in and it just, the overpassing, the untimely penalties, Dallas is the type of team where when you got to sling it and wing it. You can't, because they're just too physical. They attack the puck. I hate Dallas, but I'll give credit where credit's due. They're more of I don't think athletically, I don't think they're as fast as Colorado, but I don't think they're slow enough to the point where it's really, obviously it's not an advantage because Colorado's down 3-2, but what do you guys think? Just, there's too much to go over. I know you guys got other callers, but you pass a little bit on the power plays. But man, do you think I've been bringing this up for years. And maybe McKinnon passes too much too. Let's stop the overpassing on the power plays and just attack the net more, because how many times do you see them have these shots and then there's no one there to knock it in?
Yeah, they do overpass. And Prophet, thank you so much for the call, man. Appreciate it. The power play is always looking for the guaranteed goal. Always looking for the guaranteed goal. And while Dallas's power play was zipping things around, they don't give you time. And Dallas knows that if they get up in the face, you need two perfect passes to beat Dallas. And the Avs have not been able to put those two things together. I think you need to work off the half wall a little bit more, that you need to get Kale with his stick to the middle of the ice, so work him off the far side, the left side half wall, if you're looking at the goal, but off the blocker side half wall of Jake Ottinger, so his stick is to the middle. Work that scissor with McKinnon so he can walk the top, and then you have to crash McKinnon to the net. You have to crash your net front player high, and then throw your strong side player at that point, who would be Nichushkin or Landeskog in this situation. I think that's how you start to generate more opportunities in the power play rather than waiting for the guaranteed goal. That is what has killed the power play thus far. And yeah, Bednar's overseeing that. As a head coach, the guy who's responsible for that is Ray Bennett. That's who it is.
Well, and I get, look, that's been a staple, oftentimes negative. How many times have we heard the criticism? Have we ourselves had the criticism of overpassing? That has been a criticism of this Avs team in this iteration, this era of Avalanche hockey. Hey, when it works, it's great, but it's tough to do against a team like Dallas.
They kill very well.
It's tough to rely on the pretty passing, the extra passing against a team like Dallas that is very active defensively and is big and is physical. So, yeah, and we saw with Dallas tonight, a couple of their goals, at least, are just throwing pucks on net and seeing what happens.
First goal's a puck thrown on net. The second one is a grade A scoring chance from the middle that, Blackwood gets a piece of, but it ends up being a bounce against you. They don't throw enough pucks at the net from crappy spots. Like, did you see Jacob Slavin's goal yesterday against New Jersey?
I did not.
Slavin makes a really good play at the blue line, walks down the corner, and fires it from the Danny Heatley Rockstar zone, which is goal line extended to the corner, and just throws it short side high at the net. And it goes in. We also saw a couple of other spots that right after Dallas got up 1-0, they started throwing high shots from anywhere on the ice because they knew that there was going to at least be some sort of chaos in front. It was going to hit Blackwood up top. It's going to fumble out in front. And with three guys barreling down on the net, sometimes it just goes off a shin pad and in. The Avs don't do that enough. And I love puck possession hockey. I do. I hate giving up, I call them, we call them empty calorie opportunities where you're just throwing something and then it essentially is a turnover. And now you have to exit the offensive zone. Now you're defending again. They're not empty calories if you have right guys going to the right spots. If you throw a puck from a cold area of the ice and no one's going to the net, I hate that. Absolutely hate it. Because that's an empty calorie. But if you throw a puck from a cold area and you have a body going to the net, you have layered crease crashers, that's when it becomes dangerous. And Dallas does it all the time. And the Avs simply don't because they are looking for the guaranteed goal far too much. Let's keep it rolling. Kevin, you're next on 92.5. What you got, Kev?
Hey, guys, I just want to point out we've been waiting for like 3 years for a captain to actually show us something. And we finally have him. We're not doing anything. We're not doing anything. We have Makar. We got to get on him. We need our captain. We finally have our captain. Get on him and have him shoot on net. Just get that puck on net. What do you guys think?
Appreciate the call, Kevin. I saw McKinnon going at it today. McKinnon and Coyle got into it after a power play. So if that's what you're looking for, like that type of discourse on the bench, like barking at a buddy, be like, hey, like we got to figure this thing.
McKinnon will do that.
McKinnon will do that. I don't know. Is Landeskog able to step into those situations being gone for 3 years? Yes, he's been around the team. And he's been around the team for a reason, right? To give him at least some sense of how the room feels. Now, can he come in after 3 games of playing hockey and go, if something's not wrong, I'm going to step up and I'm going to be... I don't know. I don't know how that locker room dynamic works. We've never seen anything like that. Again, I told you guys before his return in this series, the last time that a captain had left his team and returned in this 3-year mark, World War II. The captain of the Detroit Red Wings and the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Sid Abel. 3 years, they then came back into the room after going to serve overseas for the Canadian Armed Forces in World War II. That's the only other time it's happened. There's not really a book on this.
And, speaking not just leadership and, chirping at your own guys or calling your own guys out or, being an aggressive leader, to Tyler's point, our first caller, he brought up, you could have gotten a Brad Marchand maybe, but a player like that, and when Dallas has Marchment and Ben, and they will tick you off, and Colorado's not really doing a lot of that to Dallas. There's not one player really on the Avs that is annoying Dallas, that is getting in their heads or even trying to get in their heads. And do I love that Dallas, that Ben and Marchment do that? No. But it can be effective. And I want to go back to the pretty passing because I do have a thought on that too. It just, in terms of just throwing pucks on net. One thing I was thinking after Game 3 with how poorly they played, one thing that kind of dawned on me that I don't really see a lot of right now, even this season overall. And maybe this is a coaching thing. And I don't know. This is just something that I feel like can be effective. And that is, this team is very wrist shot friendly instead of just setting up one-time bombs from the point, whether it's Makar or Taves, just slapping a slap shot at the point. They don't do a lot of that. They don't, and not just from the point, but how many times this season, and we talked about this during the regular season on this show, when Nathan McKinnon wasn't scoring a lot of power play goals for a stretch, and it seemed like there was a lot, and somebody asked us about this. There was somebody on Twitter who wanted us to talk about this. And what I had noticed is McKinnon in years past would fire so many bombs from that left wing side.
It's so true. I haven't seen as many one-timers. I haven't.
And what I said at the time, and this was like midway through the regular season. And it's funny because, he did have a one-time bomb that beat Ottinger in Game 4. It's like one of the only ones he's unleashed in this series.
Short side rib shot.
Yeah, and at first, we thought, did Ottinger save that thing? Did he get over in time? No, he did not. McKinnon beat him because when he connects at high speed, even though Ottinger might have a beat on it, or any good goaltender, you can still beat him. Nathan McKinnon can still beat him. What I had said during the regular season and what I was noticing is I felt like because in years past, McKinnon unloaded a lot of one-time bombs from the left side. And it felt like maybe goaltenders were anticipating that. Where they were starting to say, if I even sense that this puck is getting dished to the left side, I'm going to sell out. And regardless of any possible deke out or change of motion, I'm just going to sell out that this is going to be a one-time bomb from McKinnon, and I'm going to get over there. And I think McKinnon started to realize that. At least this is my theory. And so he started to fake the one.
And every time it's faked.
He has faked the one-time slap shot on that left side so many times. And I think it's because they were starting to get saved a little more often because I think goaltenders were keying in on it. But even if they're keying in on it, it is still a lethal bomb, and it can still beat a goaltender even if he's anticipating it, or it can get you rebounds. Again, it's just throwing dangerous pucks on net. And when McKinnon is faking the one-timer and instead looking for bumper passes or a pass elsewhere, it's taking away an opportunity for a shot on goal.
And the fake works when? The fake works when he's able to fake it and then immediately take a stride to the middle of the ice and start attacking like the top of the slot and the middle of the hash marks, where he's able to goad Ottinger into believing that he's taking that one-time opportunity. So Ottinger's he's having to cover 6 to 7 feet. He has to get to that far side post, and it's also making sure that the high side forward is dropping down to try and either get a stick on that shot or a body. And typically it's the short side defenseman that is his job to front that shot, but the top side forward typically collapses to try and get a stick in the lane. When McKinnon makes that work, he fakes it and then immediately explodes to the middle of the ice and tries to get a walking shot off. When's the last time that we saw that patented Nathan McKinnon shot where he just walks to the top of the zone and feathers a snapshot through bodies to the middle? That was the patented Nathan McKinnon goal, where he would fake a shot, wheel up top, scissor with Makar, and then no look, snap one at 82 miles an hour through bodies. I can't remember the last time I saw that. I can't.
And I also do think, because when they did have Rantanen, now the power play with Rantanen had gotten stale, and certainly in the first half of this season, like teams knew what they were going to do. But Rantanen provided the same ability that McKinnon did on the right-hand side, and it did balance it out a little bit. And right now, there is not a threat on the Avs power play from the right wing, and I think Landeskog
showed it in the third.
I think he could be that threat.
The one-timer that he hit in the third that rang the bar, and the Avs did hit 3 bars tonight. The one that hit the post showed that he could be that guy. All right, one more caller before we hit a break. Dante's been waiting patiently on hold. Dante, you're live on 92.5. What's up, man?
Hey, guys. Big fan of the show.
Appreciate it.
I really Yep, of course. I've been listening for years. Anyway, I just feel like why don't we take more shots on net? I feel like a lot of our shots are kind of off goal, not really centered on mass. And I understand like goalies are in the crease and they're ready to take the shot, but I feel like we just miss the goal constantly.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Dante. They miss a lot of nets, and I think that's part of the reason why the Cale Makar experience this series has been so disappointing. Cale's missing pucks left, right, and center when he shoots, man. And it might be because, what did I say earlier on the power play, right? The Avs are always looking for the guaranteed goal. And it does feel like that has now bled into their 5-on-5 play, where they're looking for, this is the shot that's going to beat the goaltender. And that's all fine and dandy. I love shooting for white twine rather than shooting for pads or a big green jersey. I do. But so many times in the playoffs, things just hit a body and go in. Things just squeak in off the side of Mackenzie Blackwood's skate 9 seconds into the game. Things hit the blocker from a grade A scoring opportunity, right? Think about the second goal of the game. right? Second goal of the game feels like a backbreaker for the Avs, but Thomas Harley walks in on a grade A scoring opportunity, and Blackwood gets a piece of it. He gets a piece of it, it jumps up, it hits his back and goes in. In this series, Cale walking down Main Street would have looked to have put that puck on the elbow, right? That little tiny little spot where it nicks off the post and goes in because it's unsavable. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, right? The elite players are the elite players because they can make those shots more often than other players can. But if Cale had that opportunity tonight, more often than not, because of what we've seen this series and how he's playing this series, that puck misses the net. And there's no chance for it to hit off of Jake Ottinger's back and go in. There's no chance for it to go off the pad and then off of a skate and into the back of the net. That's just how it's been this series for them. They are simply missing nets.
Well, they try to hit corners. They try to pick corners, and it's great when it works, but it's tough to do consistently, unless you're Cale, unless you're Nate. And even then, it's tough to do consistently. So while I understand the desire to score on any given play, and you would think, hitting those tight areas, the corners of the nets is the way to go. No, oftentimes it really is. You're just throwing something right at the chest, especially if you have traffic in the area. You don't know. Ottinger's glove has been great in this series. So going glove side really isn't a great proposition right now. I would look middle blocker if I was the Avs. I wouldn't go corner hunting. I would lean away from glove side. I would go at the chest. I'd go at the left blocker side.
6 inches on the elbows.
Yeah, middle doesn't have to be top shelf. Middle left is where I would be looking. They're missing too many nets right now. Pucks on Ottinger.
Look at the goal Ekblad scores tonight, man. They just throw the shot that comes from Sam Reiner at the top of the zone. 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go in that Florida and Tampa Bay game. Reiner's not shooting to score there. That's a pads pass, right? He's just shooting for a rebound because he sees that he has net front presence. Look at the goal that Seth Jones scores 11 seconds after that. That's not a puck that's perfect. That's not a shot that is unsavable.
The Avs had 20 shots off target in this game. So did Dallas. I would lower that shot off target number, though, and up the shot on goal number. And shots on goal were even. In fact, the Avs won the shots on goal battle. But it feels like that number can be upped.
The shot from Seth Jones that essentially ends the game for Florida and gives them a 3-1 series lead is a rolling puck up to the point that he snaps through because there are 4 bodies in front of the net, and it chips off of Ryan McDonough's skate, who has blocked more shots than anyone active in the NHL right now. It chips off a skate. It takes a weird bounce. It bounces up and over Andrei Vasilevsky's right outstretched pad and goes in the net. And for some reason, the Avs, in that situation, when that puck rolls all the way up to Seth Jones at the top of the zone, if that's an Avs defenseman, you know what they're doing? They're taking one step to the middle of the ice. They're holding, waiting, and then stepping back out to the outside. And that allows Dallas, who is a very sound defensive team, to shrink and then get back into their structure. Shoot the frickin' puck. You are so lucky that I didn't just swear. We're so used to being able to say kind of like whatever we want on digital. There was a magic puck tonight, and the Avs aren't giving the opportunity for a magic puck, and Dallas is.
Rebounds are your friend. I mean, Thomas Harley shooting off of Mackenzie Blackwood's blocker was a rebound that went in all by itself. Anything not in Jake Ottinger's glove that's on net
has a chance,
has an opportunity for a rebound. And this team is filled with guys who are good stick and puck handlers in front of net, good players who are good at corralling those loose pucks in tight quarters and shoving them back in. Up and down this lineup, there are guys who can vacuum up rebounds and quickly just poke and fight to push that thing beyond net, but they're not getting a lot of rebound chances right now.
We'll take one final timeout, wrap this thing up on the other side, get you guys ready for a winner go home, or winner rather stay home. Game 6 on Thursday evening. Let you know what else happened throughout the rest of the National Hockey League and get you set up for playoff games tomorrow. That is Mark Springer. I'm Alex Ryan. You guys are listening to Between the Pipes here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Gabe, how frustrating are those penalties there when you guys get it within one? Those are maybe kind of tweener calls there.
Those are like couple of those are preseason calls, I think. But regardless, we've got to fight through it and keep playing, and we weren't able to get the kill, unfortunately.
There we go.
Preseason calls.
I
Betsy
like to
said he
hear
didn't
that.
love some of those calls either, particularly the Malinsky interference call, which changed the momentum of this game. And, one power play in this series has been very good and dangerous, and that is Dallas. And one power play has been abysmal, and that's Colorado's. And they were down 1-0 off a bad bounce early on in this game. The Avs kill off a power play, and then they go on one of their own. And it feels like the power play this series, it has sapped momentum away from the Avalanche. Anytime they go on the power play where you feel like you should be building momentum, especially coming off of a successful kill, it just goes away. Like, at some point, you might want to look at the referees and go, yeah, we don't want it. We're good. It's all right. We'll play 5-on-5. As long as you don't call penalties on us, don't call penalties on them. We'll play 5-on-5 hockey for 60 minutes and hope we win that way.
Like Cale Makar that one time when he
said,
no, that was actually good on Cale. God, he really is the best person in the world. And it was Gabe Landeskog who coined him the best person in the world. And, Cale was down in game 3, kind of down in game 2, and then he had an excellent game 4. Excellent. A little down again tonight. So, he's the best defenseman in the world, two-way, might I add. I think he bounces back, okay? But my eyes and ears just lit up. KJ, I'm glad you bumped back with that. I'm glad I heard that from Gabe Landeskog. Because first of all, he's so right. And, a lot of, leaders, and Gabe's a rather even-keeled leader. They'll give you an answer like, nah, the officiating isn't what cost us this game. And Raj, we've said this for a lot of this show, certainly earlier in the show, that, it was the bounces, the officiating, probably not. Even though, man, the Avs did make this a 1-goal game.
It was part of the equation, but you also didn't play well enough to win the game.
Sure. But to hear Gabe not say, nah, the calls weren't what it was, for him to say no, and look, the Sam Malinsky elbow is so...
Yeah, it's a bad
It
call.
was soft as hell. It really was.
It's not a playoff call.
And that makes it 4-2, and, all the work you put in, to get the 2 straight goals... And then it's a 2-goal deficit just like that. That's deflating. And the refs do have a hand in that. And overall in this series, and look, Stars fans might disagree with this, but I do think it is the objective truth. I don't think this is bias. I really don't. If you were to go fine-tooth comb this thing, I do think Dallas has had a more favorable whistle in this series. It's been close because the Avs, there were a couple missed calls in that game 3 that could have gone Colorado's way, but they also had 6 official power plays.
And they had power plays at the end of game 2 and game 3 that extended into overtime that they failed to capitalize on. So when you go, the whistle's been terrible and Dallas is diving, like, you haven't done anything with the whistle either. But you've gotten it.
But the whistle still has been bad, and I think it was bad again tonight.
Dallas has. You haven't.
It's true. It's true. But good on Gabe for saying that. Good on Gabe Landeskog for saying that. And maybe, I think there is something, too, because in his first game with the Colorado Eagles, Gabe was not leading because it wasn't his team, and it was his first game there. And even though the Avs are his team, game 3 was his first game in 3 years. And can he really just come back, especially playing 10 to 12-ish, 13 minutes, whatever it was, can he really lead? And even in game 2, probably not. And even in this game tonight, coming off of a win, probably not. But now, I think now he has full reign to truly let his voice be heard. I think that even after 3 games, that's enough time. Enough time has passed where Gabe can say to the team what really needs to be said. I don't know if he got overly animated following game 3 going into game 4, because again, he barely played in game 3. How can you get overly animated? I think it was more of a collective. But now I think Gabe can be much more part of that collective in terms of voices in the room, if not the most prominent voice.
I think this thing's going 7, man.
I do too.
They've bounced back when they've looked like crap, and I think it's going 7. I don't know what's going to happen in Game 7 because when they go to Dallas, it feels like something is just off. But I firmly believe the NHL wants this to go 7 because this is the marquee matchup in their first round. Like Tampa and Florida it's a big matchup, but it's still Florida hockey. And even though those two teams have represented the Eastern Conference in the Stanley Cup final each of the last 6 years, it's not really that big of a pull. These are two legacy clubs, championship history. Now Dallas only has the one title win in 99-2000. Colorado 3 cup championships and their 3 trips to the cup final. This is their marquee first round matchup that I have been billing as the Western Conference final. Western Conference finals go 6 or 7 games, and I think the league wants this to go 7. I think they're going to look back at tonight's whistle and go like, where was the call on Rupe Hintz on the power play when he cross-checked Nathan McKinnon in the head? Where was that? That didn't get called. And I think they're going to look at the Malinsky call and go, that we're calling that in the playoffs? I think they're going to look at Jamie Benn and go, you're allowing that to be called, that high stick to be called, when Josh Manson he's not even skating, he's just gliding with the stick at his hips, and Jamie Benn sees the stick, skates into it, and then snaps his head back. I think they will look at that, talk to the officiating crew and being like, hey, first off, not good enough tonight. And once those conversations happen, these people are human. I do believe that the Avs will get the benefit of the whistle in Game 6, and we're gonna see an all-out war in Game 7.
No, this was coming into these playoffs the marquee matchup, the best matchup. You know, and I thought, you know, when it for weeks, for a couple weeks at least, down the stretch of the regular season, when you looked at the standings, it was like, oh, it's like all but certain that it's going to be Colorado-Dallas. So you could kind of forecast this series and start to predict it and think about it going back with like 2 weeks to go in the season. And you know, your gut reaction, everyone's gut reaction is, oh, this is going to be a long series. And it turns out, yeah, it's going at least 6. That classifies. Everyone was right. And it was an easy prediction. Now when everyone zags, I like to zig, okay? And I started thinking, man, especially with no Robertson and Heiskanen and Landeskog's playing in this series, and the way the Avs loaded up at the trade deadline, I said Avs in 4. What's funny is it could have been.
Could have been. It really could have been. It really could have been.
But no, here we are with the outcome that everybody predicted. But another thing I want to say about that is, while this was, I think, the marquee series and had the potential to be the best series, the most entertaining series of these playoffs, so far, really the only truly entertaining game in terms of competitiveness was Game 2 in Dallas. Like, that one was tight. It was a 3-3 game going into overtime. Good play on both ends. I'd say the second most entertaining game was not tonight. I mean, what does tonight really do for a national audience? It was Game 4. It was the last one with Gabe scoring that goal. Like, what a moment.
But it stopped being competitive after that goal.
Yes, it did. So in terms of competitive, entertaining games, we really only had one. Methinks we're in for one more. Whether it's 6 or 7, it's very possible it'll be 7. Because this is such a great matchup. And that's the reason people forecast at least 6 or 7. If this series delivers an entertaining as all hell Game 7, that would do wonders for the league.
Game 6 tickets rather are on sale right now. The push is on, and honestly, guys, the Avs, they need you to be loud. They need you to be proud. The home ice advantage is at Ball Arena. Do not miss your shot to be part of that run. Get your tickets now at coloradoavalanche.com/playoffs. That is coloradoavalanche.com/playoffs. Thursday night, Got a couple of nights off. We'll be back on the air after that, live from Section 136 after that game. My hope is that it's a celebratory Game 6 between the pipes. I don't feel like doing our last show this week, Mark Springer. I think they get it done. Looking throughout the rest of the league, we already told you that Tampa Bay is now in a 3-1 series hold. Tomorrow's games, Ottawa down 3-1 in the East, trying to stave off elimination for the second night in a row. The Matthews core 1-12 in potential closeout games. They can't find a way to end series. I do think they win that one tomorrow. New Jersey's on the brink of elimination, down 3-1 to the Carolina Hurricanes. Vegas and Minnesota are deadlocked at 2 for a pivotal Game 5. And then Edmonton on the back of 2 unbelievable third-period comebacks at home. That series could be over as well. You could look at that Kings series and go, that should have been a sweep. It's now tied 2-2, and Game 5 is tomorrow night.
Well, the Western Conference has been, as advertised in these playoffs, right? All 4 series were tied at 2 coming into tonight. Now we have a 3-2 series. That's Dallas over Colorado. And then every other series in the West is tied at 2. That's what this conference was this year. It's what it was shaping up to be in the playoffs. I knew St. Louis would be a dangerous wildcard team. Saw that coming in the past couple months at least of the season. And then I knew if Kaprizov was back that Minnesota would be dangerous too. So, it is this conference, it is on one. Whoever comes out of this thing, oh boy. I don't think anything's going to be easy in any of these series as we advance.
We all know Ball Arena is the center of the Denver sports world right now, and you should be there, so make sure you tune into Altitude Sports Radio all day on Tuesday for your chance to win tickets to Nuggets Game 5 on Tuesday evening. Your home for all Denver sports is Altitude Sports Radio 92.5's part of a special playoff Ticket Tuesday. Been doing Ticket Tuesdays for the last month and a half here on 92.5. Listen on the 20s, keywords. Every single one of our shows is going to be giving away a pair of tickets to get you inside Ball Arena tomorrow for Game 5 between the Nuggets and the LA Clippers. Mark Springer, final thoughts on tonight's game before we get out of here.
Yeah, it was disappointing, but the credit to Dallas. They are a good physical team with two-way talent, and they responded. They responded like they did in Game 2, their last home ice game. So now we need Colorado to respond the same way that they did on their last home ice game, which was Game 4. I see no reason that it can't happen.
You need your best players to be your best players. You need your superstar Norris Trophy winning defenseman, and he's going to win the Norris this year. Cale Makar has to be Cale Makar in Game 6. If he's not, the Avs lose. If he is, we've got a Game 7 coming up on Saturday. I think it's as simple as that.
It would be great for the league. And I honestly think it's what this series deserves. I think overall, despite downplay from Colorado in 2 games, we've seen downplay from Dallas in this series as well. It's been evenly matched. It has been a series that is worthy of 7 games, but it's only worthy. To this point, it's worthy, and it's only worthy of Colorado. Then if they play like Dallas did tonight, their own version of it, an Avalanche version of it, it's worthy of 7.
Special thanks to our friends at Stoney's on Lincoln. We had their smash burgers tonight, the tater tots. It was unbelievable. Really fun atmosphere. Not so much of a fun hockey game. Again, gave away signed Cale Makar hockey stick. Had some great Milagro tequila specials all evening long. Again, Stoney's on Lincoln. We will be back there on Thursday for a Nuggets Game 6 watch party. So if you're not going to the Avs game, head on over to Stoney's. You can have that, dual TV action in there. Watch the Nuggets, watch the Avs if you're not going to be inside at Ball Arena. But that's going to do it for us late here on a Monday night now into Tuesday morning. For Mark Springer, the radio machine, for KJ Granderson behind the glass, I'm Alex Ryan. Thank you guys so much for listening to Between the Pipes. Avs fall 6-2, and they face elimination coming up on Thursday. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning right here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.